How did the reign of Joash end? This is the question we seek to answer today as we continue our verse-by-verse study of the book of 2 Kings on walking through the Bible. Today we're going to be discussing 2 Kings chapter 12, verses 9 to 21. But before we do that, let's read the passage. If you have a Bible with you, you can turn to 2 Kings chapter 12, verse 9. But if you don't have a Bible, don't worry. Just follow along with us on the screen. The version that we'll be reading from is the New King James Version. So 2 Kings chapter 12, beginning at verse 9. The Jehoiada the priest took a chest, bored a hole in its lid, and set it beside the altar on the right side as one comes into the house of the Lord. And the priests who kept the door put there all the money brought into the house of the Lord. So it was, whenever they saw that there was much money in the chest, the king's scribe and the high priest came up and put it in bags, and counted the money that was found in the house of the Lord. Then they gave the money which had been apportioned into the hands of those who did the work, who had the oversight of the house of the Lord. And they paid it out to the carpenters and builders who worked on the house of the Lord, and to the masons and stone cutters, and for buying timber and hewn stone to repair the damages of the house of the Lord, and for all that was paid out to repair the temple. However, there was not made for the house of the Lord basins of silver, trimmers, sprinkling bowls, trumpets, any articles of gold or articles of silver from the money brought into the house of the Lord. But they gave that to the workmen, and they repaired the house of the Lord with it. Moreover, they did not require an account from the men into whose hands they delivered the money to be paid to the workmen, for they dealt faithfully. The money from the trespass offerings and the money from the sin offerings was not brought into the house of the Lord. It belonged to the priests. Hazael, king of Syria, went up and fought against Gath and took it. Then Hazael set his face to go up to Jerusalem. And Joash, king of Judah, took all the sacred things that his father Jehoshaphat and Jehoram and Ahaziah, kings of Judah, had dedicated, and his own sacred things, and all the gold found in the treasuries of the house of the Lord and in the king's house, and sent them to Hazael, king of Syria. Then he went away from Jerusalem. Now the rest of the acts of Joash, and all that he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah? And his servants arose and formed a conspiracy, and killed Joash in the house of the Milo, which goes down to Silla. For Joshachar, the son of Shimeath, and Jehozabad, the son of Shomar, his servants, struck him. So he died, and they buried him with his fathers in the city of David. And Amaziah his son reigned in his place. In our last lesson, we had the beginning of the reign of Joash. Joash had been saved by Jehoshaphat from death at the hands of Athaliah, queen mother of Judah, during the reign of his father Ahaziah. Athaliah was the daughter of Ahab, and was thus an evil Baal worshipper. During her 6-year reign, the temple of God came into disrepair, because the temple of Baal had been erected somewhere in Jerusalem during either her reign or the reign of her husband Jehoram. When Joash came to the throne, the temple of Baal was destroyed, but the temple of Jehovah was still in disrepair. Joash commanded the priests to repair it using some of the money that came into the temple from the various gifts presented to the Lord. But in the 23rd year of Joash's reign, the work had not yet been completed. In fact, it may not have even been started. We're not told the reason why, but needless to say, Joash wasn't happy. He removed the sole responsibility of the priests to collect the money themselves, as well as to do the repairs. Instead, Jehoiada the high priest set up a collection chest in the temple on the right side of the altar of burnt offering, where people could give free will offerings meant to go towards the fixing of the temple. When the chest was full, the high priest and the king's scribe would count the money, but instead of placing it in a treasury, it would be apportioned and given directly to the people who did the work of fixing the house of the Lord. This way, there would be no middlemen who might delay the work, and the people could see directly what their money was being spent on, and that it was being spent properly. During this process, though, none of the money collected was used for the purchasing of new sacred items for the house of the Lord. 2 Chronicles would tell us that would come later, once the work was finished. Nor was any money taken from the priests from their portion of the trespass offering and sin offerings. In all things God was glorified, and his temple fixed up to the standards that it should have been. Coming to verse 17, and we have a passage of time. Although we're not told exactly how much time, these events will lead to Joash's death, so about 17 years has passed from Joash's order to fix the temple to Hazael's attack. Recall from the end of chapter 10 that God was using Hazael of Syria to judge Israel for her continued idolatry with the idols of Dan and Bethel under Jehu. And from there, Hazael simply continued on down first to Gath, the Philistines, before then turning towards Jerusalem. Now, why would God allow Hazael to come up against Jerusalem? Well, the writer of 2 Kings leaves this part out, but the writer of 2 Chronicles doesn't, which is that later in Joash's reign, after Jehoiada died, that the people of Judah went after idols, with Joash doing nothing to stop it. Joash even had Zechariah, the son of Jehoiada, stoned for bringing a message of reproof from the Lord to him. Thus Hazael came against Judah for those actions, judgment from the Lord. In order to pay Hazael off, Joash took of the sacred things from the temple and the gold found in the treasuries of the temple and sent it to Hazael. Hazael, being enriched, left Jerusalem never to return, for he would soon die. The rest of the acts of Joash are said to be found in the book of the Chronicles of the Kings of Judah. This does not necessarily mean our book of Chronicles, even though more of the reign of Joash is found there. Rather, a book of the Chronicles of the Kings of Judah that those people kept, some of which was used to create our book of Chronicles. Joash, though, didn't die a peaceful death. 2 Chronicles reveal to us that he was left severely diseased by the Syrians. This sickness was not unto death, but it enabled a conspiracy to form against Joash by Jozachar and Jehozabad. These two struck Joash so that he died, leaving Amaziah, Joash's son, to reign in his place. Thus, the second consecutive king of Judah would die either directly or indirectly as a result of war. According to our timeline, we place the death of Joash to be around 794 BC. With the death of Joash now recorded, the writer of 2 Kings turns our attention back north to Israel and the reign of Jehoahaz, son of Jehu, something we'll begin to cover, the Lord willing, in the next lesson. With that, our time is up for today. The Lord willing, we hope you'll join us for tomorrow's discussion of 2 Kings chapter 13, verses 1 to 13, as we continue our walk through the Bible, one verse at a time. Thank you for watching today's episode. We hope that you found it edifying and ask that you not only subscribe to our channel and podcast, but that you like and share this episode among your friends, so that the saving gospel of Jesus Christ can go out to the whole world.